Would we tell them, get out if we want to commit genocide? We're trying to get them out, and Hamas is trying to keep them in. And this charge is so baseless. The comparison to genocide, wholesale slaughter of populations. What, did the Nazis ask the Jews to leave, kindly leave, go out? Others, you want me to name all the genocidal leaders of history? Just go one by one. Did anyone do this? Did they say, get out so we can come in? Of course not. So the truth has been turned on its head.
The IAGS resolution is not legally binding in any way, but what it does do in its recommendations in its operative paragraph make specific references to the legal obligations that states and individuals do have. So it declares Israel's policies and actions in Gaza to meet the legal definition of genocide under the Genocide Convention, and that they also amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. So in doing so, the resolution then calls upon Israel to cease all acts that constitute genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity against Palestinians in Gaza. So in doing so, the resolution is engaging with the law. It's engaging with the Genocide Convention, with the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, and it also talks about other laws. So the resolution also calls upon other states to ensure that they respect their obligations under international law. So including the Genocide Convention, but not just that. The resolution talks about the Arms Trade Treaty. It also talks about international humanitarian law, which is the large body of law that regulates how we fight war. So there are lots of aspects of international law that are brought into this resolution in talking about the obligations not just of Israel but also of other states under international law to ensure that they're not engaging in any way, including, for example, by providing weapons or military equipment in the violence that's taking place in Gaza. This was a resolution, not a report. So it didn't delve into the evidence, but what it does have are a substantial number of references to other reports such as human rights organization reports, for example, that have looked in detail at what has been happening and is happening on the ground in Gaza. So drawing from this evidence, the resolution is based on what is happening on the ground. So looking at things like the mass killing of civilians, including children, the destruction of reproductive health care and the destruction of healthcare in general. Also, obviously significantly referring to the denial of food, water, healthcare, sanitation, all of which is adding up to starvation, deaths from starvation and thirst, and obviously people dying from injuries and illnesses that are being spread that otherwise they would survive, but there's no healthcare. So that's probably some of the main criteria. Obviously, there's 2 pages listing what the basis for this decision is. And I think what's interesting is that we release this resolution and then we pass this resolution, and then 2 weeks later, the UN Commission of Inquiry released their report, which is obviously a report, so it's much more detailed, but they walk through this same criteria and evidence that we refer to in our resolution as the basis for deciding that genocide is happening in Gaza.